Hey, we are all set and live, Jamie.
Okay, great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the first item on the agenda is adoption of the minutes. Is the adoption of the minutes or adoption of the agenda? Is that in the wrong order? I guess it doesn't matter. So could I have a mover resolve that the minutes of the Municipal Heritage Committee meeting of March 2nd, 2022 are approved?
I'll move that.
Thank you, Dean. A seconder, please.
I'll second it, Alicia.
Oh, thank you, Alicia. I was looking at Nicole. I was waiting for her hand. She's usually the first one to raise her hand.
Jamie, are you able to see everybody on your screen?
Yes, I am. Well,
Okay.
no, there's 4 people that I don't see.
Okay, if somebody raises their hand to move, would you like me to announce that for you? I can see everybody on my screen.
I can't. Well, yeah. It's good to back up for you to look at.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
So the first 2 were audible, though. Dean moved it and
Yes.
Alicia seconded. So agenda item number 2 is declaration of pecuniary interest. And I don't hear anyone calling one, so we'll move on to adoption of the agenda. So resolved that the agenda for Municipal Heritage Committee meeting for April 6th, 2022 as presented be approved. And Nicole has raised her hand, Virginia, to move it. Thank you, Nicole. Do I have a seconder, please? And Dean has raised his hand as well, so that's great. Thank you, guys. So no one has any discussion about the agenda, no additions? And Virginia, would you like to talk about business arising?
Oh, we need to do a vote, call for vote.
Vote? I need to call a vote on that one? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we need to carry it.
All in favor for the approval of the agenda?
And carried. Thank you.
Okay. Number 4 is business arising. And you provided an attachment about the doors open.
Yes, so I can give a bit of an overview. So following our meeting last time, we did some research. So Bradley assisted in reaching out to the contact at Doors Open to get some additional information from him. So the information's kind of provided, which outlines there's 2 options: in-person or digital events. The events would need to take place from April 16th to October 23rd. This year they have waived the registration fee, which is $1,695. Not sure if that fee will be reinstated next year or not, but it is waived for 2022. Digital tours are basically videotape tours of each of the properties that would be interested in sharing or participating in the event. So yeah, so that kind of gives you a bit of an overview of the program. I did go back, the last time we did host the event was 2004. It was a 2-day event, which took place in, I believe, June of that year. There was 14 locations that participated. 11 of them were designated heritage sites, and the other locations that did participate but aren't designated were the library, art gallery, and the Nergoma at the time. There was a total of 80 volunteers that were involved in the running of the event. They were the greeters on site. They conducted the tours at each of the locations, and they basically had 4 shifts each of 3 hours over the course of the weekend, totaling about 960 hours of volunteer time that weekend. That did not include the organizing committee's work, which started the year prior in 2003. And the budget for 2004 was $6,700, which it did include the registration of $1,500 at that time. But that was for materials, the signage, the handouts, brochures, advertising, made up the bulk of the budget. And in addition, our department had allocated a summer student in 2003 and 2004 to assist in the planning and the organization of the event. What I couldn't find was the amount of staff time that was allocated to the event.
So refresh my memory, did we form a committee on this at the last meeting?
No, I think we just,
I don't see it in the minutes, so.
I think we were just looking at, I was going to take it away and do some additional research on it.
Okay.
To get a better understanding of what it all entailed. So it was kind of an information item. So this was brought back because it came up off the floor at that point, right? So yeah, so that is kind of the overview on the research we completed.
Mm-hmm. So it is possible to have a hybrid doors open, right? A combination of in-person and digital?
Yes, I know that they were looking at reducing the number of sites. So the website does indicate that you needed to have a minimum of 10 sites, I believe. But during Bradley's conversation with the gentleman at David Leonard, I think they indicated that they're allowing for as few as 5 sites this year.
Wow.
But normally it's 10 or more.
Yeah. Okay. So when you formed a committee in 2004 to plan this event, did you include I don't know the word, people like partners from other organizations, from other boards? And
I'm going to imagine that they did. So they actually formed the committee the year prior. So the planning started a year in advance.
Yeah.
2003. So from what I gathered, summer 2003 was when they started for the June 2004 event.
So would it be a strategy to form a committee and invite stakeholders like Kathy Fisher and, Will Hollingshead and just have a conversation about the perceived interest in launching this event and the timeline? And would that be the next step, Virginia?
Yeah, we could form a working group to take a look at everything that it would entail, plus also how we'd have to take a look at what the funding strategy would be, right? And if there is the capacity to get that many volunteers involved.
Yeah, that's the trick, is the volunteers.
It's all, as well as staffing capacity, right? I know that there is a fairly significant amount of time from what I gathered, but I couldn't get it down to how many staff hours from full-time staff were allocated to the initiative.
So what time of year was I'm sorry, I'm doing all the talking. Anybody else can put their hand up. But in 2004, what time of year did you do it?
I believe they did it in June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they did it on the first part of the time frame.
Okay. Does anybody else want to speak?
There was one thing I was looking at. I thought it'd be sort of nice to have the doors open in the summer. That way, because a lot of the historic places are sort of in the downtown district, you can kind of walk between place to place, especially if you have like the Bush Plain, the Old Stone House, and the museum, and the art gallery, library. It's all in that sort of square. But the National Trust has the Historic Places Days. It's basically from July 8th to 31st. So I don't know if we want to sort of include the doors open with that sort of celebration too. So we could have the doors open and sort of maybe try to make it another part as the Historic Places Days.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. My thought was having it not in the summer, because then it would be mainly local people who would, like October, when there aren't any cruise ships and tour boats and whatnot. It might be, easier to handle that flow of people, but I like Nicole's idea too, so that would be the first decision to make, is when the timing of it. So Virginia, your thought was having a working group. Would that be the motion to?
Yeah, I think we'd have to look at pulling a working group to really see if there's enough of the partners that would be interested in coming on board, and if we can get enough volunteers. And then from there, it would be a fairly significant amount of staff time. So we'd have to take a look internally what our capacity is as well to help facilitate something like this.
So do you want to draft a motion to form a working group?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Oh, sorry. All right, so resolved that the Municipal Heritage Committee appoint, and it would be 2 members that would be interested in participating in a working group to reach out and engage other potential partners to discuss the option for a doors open.
Okay.
And I don't know if we would be able to pull that off in 2022, so it would have to probably be a 2023 initiative.
I mean, realistically, yeah, it might be too soon this year for sure. So I need a mover for that motion, please. Nicole has her hand up.
I'll second it, Alicia.
And Alicia seconds it. So the 2 volunteers that we had for that working group last month were Nicole and I think. And is there any interest on anyone else joining this committee working group? Sorry.
I could participate as well.
Oh, Harvey, that would be great.
Yeah.
I can bring this up at the Municipal Heritage Committee meeting next week, right, Alicia? And we could see if we pick up any more people on that board.
Sure.
On which board? Historic?
Historic Sites Board?
Yeah, Historic Sites Board.
Alicia and I.
This is the Municipal Heritage.
Yeah, that's true. Kathy would, I mentioned it to her pre-COVID, so this is how long I've been talking about this idea. And her original thought back then, which we might revisit, was having a mini doors open at Christmas time. And her thought was getting the local cultural groups involved in having sort of a display of Christmas things, from a cultural point of view at different locations.
Yeah, if it was on the Christmas timeframe, it wouldn't fall under the Doors Open Ontario program because it's outside of their window.
Outside
which, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. Okay.
I think if we're going to do it, we should go for it this year sometime. I mean, there is no registration fee this year. You'll be paying, what is it, $1,800 next year?
It's 1,695 was previous registration.
Right. Well, next year it might be 2,000 or so. Anyways, just a thought. Certainly, we could work with the old stone house and museum as possible sites as well.
And the art gallery. I mean, if the minimum is 5, it wouldn't be that much work to put together 5 sites.
Yeah, and I think. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Harvey.
Well, I would think that the middle St. Mary's Paper original site, all of those buildings, I'm sure they would be happy to see them open. I mean, they're open anyway, so they'd be happy to see people coming through and having tours that show them the details. So I don't think it'll be very difficult to get several sites together.
Okay. I like that idea. So Virginia, could we, this is what what's today's date? Could we try to schedule a meeting later in April or May with this working group?
Yes, potentially. I will do my best.
Could I communicate with different potential partners to invite them to the working group meeting?
Sure. Yeah, sure. That'd be great, Jamie.
Like outside the Historic Sites Board? I'm thinking of the Bush Plain.
Yeah, I think it could be doable to do a scaled back one this year if we've got partners like the Bush Plain and they can organize their volunteers and come on board. You know, the museum could do theirs and come on board. So if some of those larger ones could actually run their sites, it would make it a lot more feasible to accomplish something this year.
So Nicole, are you going to jump forward and volunteer the Friends of the Ermitanger Clerk for this?
Sure. Yeah. We have a meeting on Monday, so I'll bring it up then.
Wow, that'd be great. And if there's someone there who would like to attend the working group, that would be great to invite them.
Well, yeah, I could as the president too. So
Virginia?
Sorry, I was just to say it might be nice then if we're doing it, because we'll need the extra time to potentially plan something, to look at maybe doing it during Culture Days, which kicks off at the end of September into October. So that might be a really nice tie-in.
Well, we've got lots of options for dates. Okay.
Culture Days would be I think Culture Days would be a good time of the year to do it because it'll give us enough time to organize ourselves, plan it properly, establish who wants to participate, who's able to participate. I think if we it would be nice to do it in July, but I don't know if there's enough time, like Virginia's saying. A lot of heritage sites already have a lot of things planned. In May, it's museum month, so a lot of heritage sites already have events already booked and scheduled. But I think Culture Days would be a nice period to do it in because you'll get the local traffic and you also get some tourist traffic as well from the town. Yeah.
So we've decided to try to meet in May and to include stakeholders or partners, whatever your word is. Okay, I'm just making a note for myself because I've got a short memory. Okay.
I'm not sure how you can include partners until you've identified who you'd like to include. So I think we have to have an initial meeting first.
We've named a couple though.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean,
The museum and
people obviously have taken it would like to do it. But,
Virginia?
What if we try to target to have a quick chat on, I'm gone for a workshop, potentially at the end of April, but what if we tried to meet on the 25th quickly with the group and staff, like city staff, and then we can pull in, identify who we want to reach out to and get them pulled in a couple weeks later for a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to do a bit of planning ourselves first and then reach out.
Yeah.
I think, looking at creating something so we know what we're asking of them and having that kind of laid out in a, here's what the expectation would be, so that they've kind of got it laid out and we've got a lot of their questions pre-answered before we meet with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you, Virginia.
Okay. So is that the end of business arising, Virginia?
So I'm sorry, Virginia, did we set a date?
I will send out an email to the committee members that volunteered and to city staff that we would pull in to try to look for a time on the 25th. So I'll get that sent out following the meeting.
25th of April. Okay. Awesome. So the next agenda item is subcommittee task force update. And Virginia, do you have an update for the Heritage Register?
Yes, so we are just finishing the mail merge. So a notice had to go out to each of the property owners that's being included on the list. So we just finished the mail merge and all of the property searches. So each property had to have the final property lot plan and description included as the legal description. So we worked with legal to complete that process. That's included in the mail merge. And I'm just working with IT right now to work on updating the website. So one of the things we have to put on the city's website is we have to list the Heritage Register. So right now we've only had the designated properties. So we have to look at a new chart. But as we've added a lot more properties, I was looking at having a searchable search engine within the city's website where you could either click on listed or designated, or you could search all properties and it'll tell you the differences between the two, or you can put in and actually do an address search, because we're getting more and more phone calls from realtors and people that are looking to see if their property has any restrictions or designations attached to it. So this will just help any members of the public be able to search easier for their properties. So we're working on that process. And then once the letters go out, we'll be loading everything up into the system to have it a lot more robust than what it currently is in the register portion.
Wow. So how many properties are registered now as of that count?
28, 30. So we will have, this is 20, 50. We're going to have 66 or 67 that'll be on there.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah.
Is there any...
How many are on the properties of interest list?
28.
Those that are actually 28. Okay.
28. Yeah. So what it would include was it'll include like the actual legal descriptions, the address of the properties, the statement of significance, photos, and the lot plans. So one of the requirements now is to actually show the property, and this is just an example, but you would show the property on a plan like that. So I've got to look at having that added in for each of the properties, both designated and listed. So that will be a little bit of a project this summer as we move forward with getting all the additional information attached to each property.
Okay. And are we having a meeting with that subcommittee to?
Yes, we
on
have.
Monday. We decided on Monday, didn't we?
The 11th.
The 11th. Okay, great.
Right.
So 5.2 is the Heritage Award update.
So the working group met to look at the Heritage Award. We looked at a number of examples from other municipalities, and we're just in the process of organizing another meeting to review some of the information, an updated form. So the doodle poll had went out. Actually, I think last week we sent the doodle poll out. So we just have to finalize the meeting date. And then by the next meeting, we'll have additional information to come back to the Municipal Heritage Committee for approval.
Okay. Great. So if we want to move on to new business, we could talk about 6.1, which is the request for designation at 54 Summit Avenue.
Okay, so I received an application from 54 Summit they're requesting the committee look at or consider designation of that property. So the package is in your agenda, in the agenda package, and I'm not sure if anybody has any questions or comments.
I did ask Virginia if this was included in our area of local interest, and she confirmed that it from Summit and Boren area, and she confirmed that it is. So would the next step be to, vote on this one, or do you need to, I guess if we approved it, then the next step would be to write a report on it.
Can we direct staff to do the
Right up the designation report.
I'm sorry, I heard multiple people and none of them were clear, so I feel like I'm the only one doing the talking, but
I think we need to direct staff to do a designation report investigation, right?
Yes, that's correct, Matt. Usually a committee member often volunteers to help with the review as well. I do have a resolution drafted.
okay.
Resolved that the Municipal Heritage Committee, based on the designation application submitted, move forward with the intent to designate 54 Summit and proceed with the preparation of a designation report. And further that whichever committee member is interested be assigned to assist in the review and completion of the designation report. And then from there, that's then brought back to the committee. And at that point, the committee can determine if you want to proceed with designation. And then after that, it goes to council for approval.
I have a question. The applicants, the owners have included a fair bit of material from the interior of the house. And I think we have to make a decision whether we wish to include that in the designation report, because normally we don't do that, but we do in some special circumstances.
Yeah, I agree, Harvey. They do have the interior photos show that a lot of the original woodwork's been maintained along with the windows and doors. But, we can work with the property owner as we move forward to see if any interior elements do become designated, or if it's just the exterior as we've done primarily in the past.
So Virginia, do you need a mover for your resolution?
Well, if anybody wants to volunteer, I would add that to the resolution, and then we would require a mover and a seconder.
Okay.
I'm interested.
That was Alex.
That was Alex?
Yeah.
Great, thanks,
Quick,
Alex.
it was Alex. Take him.
Perfect. Is there a mover or
I'll
seconder?
move. This is Sean.
Sean moved it. Sean.
I'll second.
Thanks, Sean.
And Matt seconded.
Matt.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry. I volunteered for quite honestly, I volunteered for the yard locker one, and I'm not sure if I was any help on that one, so I didn't want to volunteer for a second one. But it's a beautiful property, so I'm excited that we have a new property.
We just need to call a vote, Jamie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is everyone in favor? We can.
Yeah.
I don't want to influence everybody. Thumbs up for Alex. Great. All right. And then, Virginia, you provided information about heritage trees, which
I did.
I love the idea. Okay, so let's hear more about that.
I know this was actually, Harvey brought this up, I think a few years ago as an item. With that,
But
that was also.
It's longer than that, Virginia.
Yeah, so it's
It's
also,
longer than 2 years.
I said a few. I can't remember when, it's been a blur. It's also became identified through the consultation in the cultural plan. So it became an action item in there as well. So we have done some background research, which we kind of provided a bit of a summary for the committee to review. And yeah, so from there would be a matter of forming or seeing if any members are interested in sitting on a working group. I've already reached out to our horticulture department and our manager of parks. They would be participating and help identifying the tree. They do have a cataloging system for city trees. So all the trees have been recorded and are in their inventory, the large portion of them. So they have a lot of background information on potential trees. And I had a good conversation with our manager of parks, Travis, about some of the trees that, should be considered for being designated as a heritage tree. So I'm not sure if there's any committee members that would like to work with staff on helping identify the trees. And then once we've got that inventory completed, we can bring it back to staff. And I see, Caitlin, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I'd be very
I would be
interested in
willing
that.
to as well.
Okay.
So Virginia, do we need a motion to form a working group or?
So yeah, it would be a working group with city staff. So I have resolved that the Municipal Heritage Committee appoint Kay Kazmarkowski and Harvey Robbins to work with city staff in identifying trees with heritage potential. And then we would report back to the committee.
So I need someone to move that motion, please. Nicole has her hand up. Do you want to second it, Sean?
Sounds good.
Okay, Sean wants to second it, Virginia.
All right.
Very good. Well, that's I'm excited about that project too. So.
Yes, thanks Harvey and Caitlin for doing that. It's so nice to see this come to fruition.
So the property at 54 Summit does it have an elm tree on it, Harvey? Did he write that in his designation report?
54 Summit? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Is that right at the corner of Pym or where's?
Summit and Boren, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'd have to go and look.
Okay, I have a question, but I'll email it to you, Harvey, about that.
Yeah. I worked previously with the manager there. Virginia, you have to refresh my memory.
Travis Reed?
Manager. Pardon?
Travis Reed?
No, she's up at North Street. No?
Susan Hamilton Beach, maybe?
Yes.
Mm.
She's still the manager covering this area?
Susan is a director at Public Works. Travis Reed is the manager of parks, and he oversees the horticulture and tree, the tree group as well. So those, he's got that full area, so he's very knowledgeable.
Right. No, that's fine. But I had worked with them personally and helped them to identify the trees that should be planted, because that's part of this whole tree thing, is to ensure that we get the right species planted for the future, because it's not just, trees come and go. They're like human beings. They only live so long, and we have to replace them. And that's an important part of this project, I believe anyways.
Hmm. So we approved that motion, Virginia, that passed? Or that group?
I think, did we do a call to vote on that?
I can't remember. Should we call to vote to approve that? We formed a working group. Sorry. I'm thinking about the question I'm going to ask Harvey when this meeting is over. That was 6.2. And the next agenda item is correspondence. Have there had any correspondence?
It would just be the newsletters that are coming through. I think most people are getting them in their email from Heritage Trust.
Okay. Great. So the next agenda item is the date of our next meeting, which is May 4th by video conference. And unless there's more discussion, we can vote, we can have a mover to adjourn. And Nicole has her hand up.
I'll second.
And Matt Shoemaker seconds. Virginia?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. We've adjourned.
And I'd just like to say, Jamie, this
Yes.
is the first time I've been at a meeting that we have 100% attendance.
Oh, I suppose.
Everyone was here.
Yeah,
Good job.
I didn't register. Thanks, Dean.
100% plus a
Oh.
quarter.
Oh, yeah. Oh